So hi guys, X is Powder. I'm Mark.
Digital master.
So just here to talk about the Ember.js with Ember-Cli. So especially I'll be focusing on the tooling Ember-Cli rather than Ember. It's divided the talk into two parts. So the first part would be the basic concept of the Ember, and the second would be the Ember-Cli part to develop and deploy the app. So as Sagar said, Sachin, Sagar, right? At Milisami in the interwaves, and then Nepal and Rails is the blogging platform. So the goal is like what we are going to build. So it's just a simple app. It would be this is interface only. So it's a contact app only. So to build this, we need two parts: the front end and the back end. So to make the back end easier, there was already one this RP Florence guy like Node.js app which stores the data in memory and it will be wiped out later on. So that's the first part. We need the API. Another one is the front end app itself. So the thing we could do is like just throughout operation. So we'll be adding new contracts, showing the details, editing it, and deleting it. So that would be the basic app what we are going to build. So just the overview only. So talking about the Ember, so how many have heard and used? Just a few. Okay. So in its website, the tagline it defines is like it's building ambitious web applications. It's a JS framework. It's backed by the same guy that Yehuda and Nepal, those guys are behind this. But especially another guy, Tom Dell, is in the lead team, along with Yehuda. So it's also carries the same philosophy, what Rails did, the convention over configuration. And the third line is by Yehuda. So follow the convention. He says like trivial choices are the enemy. And what does that mean? I'll tell you later. The fourth one is like write base code. It's also similar to Rails and built for productivity and on and on. So this is basic algorithm showing the basic concepts of this Ember.js. So that's only the high level architecture. So how it works. So it has the concept of router, model, controller, view, and templates. So this one is good. I do it again. So it says like data flows down from models via bindings. So model gives the data, gives the data to controller. Controller passes down to view, and finally to the template in the browser. So this is the data flow binding, and another one would be like user interactions. So it would come from like events. So it flows up from view layer to router, and the task of the router is it updates the models, and controllers based on the events. So this is the architecture, high-level architecture of the Ember.js itself. And that's it. So we are adding the Ember-Cli, and there's a bit of history, what this Ember-Cli is like and how it came up. So previously, like to start out, you type with Rails new, and the generator would give you the structured folder of the project. So to deal with it for the Ember.js land, there was a project called Ember App Kit, EAK something, and you clone it, and it would be running through grunt. So that grunt is like Node.js task runner kind of thing. So if you compare with Ruby, it's kind of like a rake, and it has grunt file. So you would put that grunt file, but that grunt is just a task manager. So what it does is like you define those parts like to watch all the files, and if there's some file changes, so then the recompilation have to be done again of that files, and that files might be in different formats. It might be in SAS, LESS, Coffee script. So that kind of thing. But the real problem was like when you save some file and it goes to rebuild, it would rebuild all the files, those files too which we haven't touched. So that was kind of slow and really slow. So they were like searching for options. So then came something like Joe Lees or something, I don't know her name. So she created Broccoli. It was named Broccoli. So that was just the managing trees of the files, and if something is saved or changed, instead of recompiling the whole tree, it will just recompile that particular file only. So the recompilation was pretty fast. So that was the file watcher kind of thing and merging those trees. So that broccoli is under the hood of Ember.CLI. So we won't be seeing broccoli itself in many parts. So just to know, under the hood of Ember.CLI, broccoli lies. So this is a site like Ember.CLI. Earlier, like I think yesterday I changed this one. They had this homepage. So there was like something GitHub URL earlier. So this is the one homepage, and it's installed through npm it says. So before the installation part, so just overview of Ember.CLI, what it does. So as Ember.js was the framework for building ambitious applications, so Ember.CLI is like command line interface for building ambitious applications. So it has like many parts. So I have like put it over 4 things to talk about. So asset compilation is over there, and if you have worked in Rails, many of us know what asset compilation is. That goes through sprockets. So it also has asset compilation part, and it's based on the Broccoli, as I said, and it has support for handlebars, emblem, less sass, compass, stylus. Stylus is for like Node.js kind of thing as like Ruby Sass. So and another is Coffee script and Ember script, and then also asset compilation also does the minifying tasks. And also is like number 2 is modules. So it's kind of a bit new to us. It's the that ES6 module. You might have heard or not. So ES6, it's the coming version of new JavaScript. So it's in the ES6 format. They used to say it in basically like what it is like. It defines the modules instead of polluting the global namespace. So earlier, how we were developing it, like we define some kind of app, and we just stuck everything in that app namespace, app.model or app.controller kind of thing. So when the application is running in the browser, so though that model is not required, so it's in this same namespace, so it also gets loaded kind of thing. So it basically like deals with the performance part. So the new ones is like ES6, the JavaScript one, and in this module, Ember.CLI has a thing called the ES6 module transpiler. So whatever you write for the models and other parts, JS part, so that ES6 module transpiler will compile that file into AMD syntax. The AMD is like for common JS, required JS, these are the things. So the most popular I think is the AMD one. So we don't need to go deeper into that one. So that's the knowledge on it. So the third is like, it's a testing using CLI. So yeah, testing. To test this Ember.js app, they have their own package, Ember testing, and it's based upon the QUnit JavaScript testing framework. So that testing is also built in Ember.CLI. And the fourth one is like dependency management. So for the dependency management, it relies in 2 components. One is npm and another is boer. So I may also have heard boer. So that boer is like simple. It's kind of like bundler and Ruby gems kind of thing, but for the JavaScript libraries. So if you say boer install jQuery, so then it will go to the boer repository and it will grab the jQuery file and install it, and it will create one boer.json file that acts like a gem file. So there will be that version and the name of the JavaScript library. So that's for the JavaScript libraries. thing, and another one is like npm. So that comes with Node.js. So it searches for the libraries in the npm registry. So up to here, these are the 4 parts of Ember CLI as shown over here. And so these are the dependencies mainly. So you need to have Node.js installed in your developing machine. Phantom.js is required to do the headless testing that Ember CLI had, as I said earlier, to work with that Q-unit thing. So these are the 2 major dependencies. And Node.js, so we need it. It's kind of like a Ruby for Rails. And installation part, so there's this repository, Ember CLI, so you can clone it, cd into it, and give it npm link. But earlier, I think we saw this one, and it says like npm install -g Ember CLI. So this is the package manager of the Node.js, and that -g means like install it globally instead of this current folder only. So this is also the way to install Ember CLI. But the guys over there in Ember CLI, they say it's better to use this way, so that we can have the latest versions, although not pushed to npm registry, but in the GitHub. So for the update, you just pull it again, and npm link, you will get the new version. And after installing that, you will get the binary Ember in the CLI. So you just type like Ember C new contact tool. So you cd into that, and npm link Ember CLI. The command will link that installation over here, and you can run Ember server, and it will be firing up in local 4200. So this is the installation. Oh, it's black. How do we do it? Can you see it? If not, then act. So the major thing is router. Whatever we see in the URL address bar of the browser, that gets directly mapped over here in this router. So we just say like in the first line, like that's the syntax of that ES6 module I was talking about. We will be importing Ember from Ember. That Ember is the package library, and I think this kind of syntax might have been seen by those guys who have done Python. So there is an import kind of thing. So we'll be defining a router and Ember router extending. Another one like router.map. So this kind of from 7 line number, it looks something like Rails routes, that kind of thing. And it has that this resource, that contacts, and we are giving explicit path slash contacts. So that slash contacts will be in the browser, and it will be for that resource. And inside that there is a nested function. So inside there is 3 dots more, show, and we are giving path and that colon ID, that dynamic segment. So contact /1, the ID would be 1. Another one is like edit, and its path is nested under that one, ID/edit. So the route will be different, but that ID says that the model is the same one. And the other one is like new. And the main part is like export. We are exporting default router. So that router gets exported so that another module can import this router and use it in the app. So that import and export part is the ES6 one. So router till here, and so this is the for the index part. So what we see is like if you go to /contacts, so we need to show some of the list of contacts. So this is the model part. Sorry. This is the route one. So the previous was the router, and all the URLs you need in your app, you'll be defining that in the router. And this is the route. So its main task is to fill the model or to return some data or collection that needs to be shown. So again, we are importing the Ember, and we are defining this model function. So this function is like returning a collection of contact. The syntax is like store.find contact. So the store.find contact will search for the model named contact. So, and this is the model, app model contact. So here we are importing another thing, Ember data. So To make the application in Ember.js, Ember data is not necessary, but I highly recommend using it from the get-go, because it will be easier to manage the database or API part later on. So the Ember data doesn't come shipped in the Ember.js itself. We have to install it separately. But that Ember CLI part, we did Ember new application name. At the time, that by default, it also imports the Ember data itself. So just to know, it's not packaged in the Ember.js app itself. It's a separate library. But Ember CLI makes it in the same one. So we're importing this Ember data, and we are giving it the namespace like DS. So we can use that DS in other parts. So we are exporting the model contact. So it has the attr kind of functions, strings. We have data type over here, and it has the strings, numbers, date, boolean. Right? So this first, last, and avatar, these are the string parts only. And this another one is full name. So it's a property. So do not the property in Ember.js if something changes what it's watching over here. So in this case, it's watching first and the last. So if the first name or the last attribute changes, that full name function gets re-triggered, and it will be returning that changed concatenated string. So for example, let's say first is Sachin and last is Sagar, and if I change first to someone, and this full name function would return automatically someone Sagar. So this is the property thing in Ember.js. This is the model part. And we come to controller. So as you see in the the architecture, model provides data to controller. So then the controller comes in. This controller acts for the template when we create a new contact. So this is so it's inside controllers, contacts, and new. So it's defining actions. So the action name is submit over here, and if the action triggered is submit, and it will be caught over here, and it does this thing, save data and transitioning to contacts index part. And the controller main function is to its function is to present data to render the templates in the browser, and it works like the proxy for models. So in this part, that this dot get content. Yes. So the thing we are seeing is like this dot get content. So this dot get Right. So this dot get content over here. So it's the same model instance like that this past. So this is the model thing, and it will be saving and transitioning to contact index over here. So it acts like a proxy for the models. The controller continue. So another one, and we'll have two kinds of controllers. So one will be object controller, and another is array controller. Right now we are seeing is like just the ember.controller.extend. So this ember.controller is the base one, and object controller and array controller will be there. That will be inherited from that one. So this is the view. So this doesn't rely or relate to the example I'm showing. This is just for the sake what a view looks like only. So it doesn't have any contact or relation to the demo I'm showing. So if you define views, so views would be defined if the user interactions is complex. So before doing something, you have to set up kind of something. So if you take the example of the Cloud Factory app when we were here, so there was the station creation part and adding that input in that stations. So that user interaction was complex. So If the user interaction is complex, then the view can come in and help us out. So that dragging something or dropping and filling the other parts or clicking, and only that request needs to be sent to the server, then the view can handle it much more easier. So here it's defining like click function, and if the cursor is like something click in that view in the browser, this click function will take it over here, and it can do like the thing it needs to do. So if the user events are sophisticated, then the view comes in. And another part where views comes in is like if you have something that's used in different parts of the app or different parts of the page. So let's say displaying an avatar of the user, so it might be displayed in different places. So at the time also you can create a view and feed that view data, and it can be displayed similarly in multiple parts, and it can be updated in a single file. So that's the work of the view. And finally, we're templates. So this is the contact index template. So it gets rendered when you go to /contacts. So this braces we are seeing over here, so it's a handlebars template. So there's one like project handlebars. That's the templating for the Ember.js. So that handlebars is also maintained by Yehuda himself. And in coming version, I think this will be replacing by HTML bars, but the work is going on in that, so it won't be very much quicker, but it will come. So for now, we have to deal with handlebars. And the thing like it has the expressions in the per double basis, so it has like each contact in controller. So it's a loop. The controller instance is the same one we get from the model part. So it's the array. So each contact in array in controller. So there's another this one linked to function in the handlebars. So we can print out that a tag dynamically. So it will go to contact show path, and it's getting the object that contact, and it's just the CSS class applying that one. So this is the template of the handlebars. And the demo, so there is URL bit.ly. I put there gist, so it will redirect to the gist one. So I'll be showing that one. नहीं खोले ये ना
Like that.
So this is the same folder that I was talking about, that API backend part. So we need to deploy it. So since it's the Node.js one, it will be handled by Heroku. So just in case not to change the name, I'd give the same name that I'd be using in that Ember app. So this would be the name we need. Widget window. So this is the one. So it has the contact API. So here's the GitHub link. So it's running over there. So we'll be starting our app over here. So I actually scaffolded over here this project Contact2. So it has the same structure as its own. It's Ember new and that thing app name. So I'll be starting the server over here. Server. So it will put up in 4200. So to make the point, like it's hitting that network or not. So I'm going to contact index page, and at the same time, like setting the network over here. So if you set URL, then it's the same one, boiling short that one /contact, and it's returning that data. So right now there are two data over here, and we are seeing two contacts only. So let's add another one. Here's the one. So here. Now because was to add it, so that image is not showing you that after you are. So, but the point is like it's making the post request over here in this same API. It's supposed to get. So let's add another one. Here, and if you see the individual one, so here with the details one, I could say let's details over here, and we can edit and delete this one. So editing is like same one, so it's same form here. 2, 4. So it's being updated over here, and I will deleting this one. So delete, and it's deleted. And if you see over here, so sending the request method is delete, and that's being deleted. So this is a pretty basic demo, and I'd like to show like how fast or how quicker it is to build this one. So for that one, we'll be heading to that bit.ly URL or the gist. What was it? So this is this. So the steps I've detailed over here. So after installing that Node.js part, we need to install this board thing, and this content is for the testing only. And just cloning it, installing it over there, and Bootstrap. To add Bootstrap, it's there's two commands only. So you'll be saying board install save Bootstrap, and another one is like broccoli sass. The Broccoli Sass is the Ember add-on that can process the Sass files and get the output into CSS. So we are renaming that into app CSS and putting that import one, and we are done. So for the last, this part over here in the Brock file, we need to do this because that glyph icon fonts was not in the correct path, so we need to add that one. Otherwise, only that free thing. So starting the Ember application over here, and I want to show you. So Ember.CLI has also this generators built in. So they used to call blueprint, and it has like adapters, API stars, and you'd be using the models and controllers, template, routes often. So it has the built-in generator as well. So to generate that model contact, you can just do Ember generate model contact, and that import thing and export block is automatically there. So you need to write that first and last name only. So to see this line, we can follow the URL for the app. So if it's /contact, so then contact route, contact model, and contact controller, and contact view, and contact template. So by the convention, those are the things that get auto-generated if you did not generate explicitly. So if you generate, then your controller and your model would be used instead of the generated one. So here we are defining the model, so our model would be used over here. And the same for the route. So we need the index route. So index route over here. So what we are doing is like if you go to /4200/, so it will hit the default index route. And here we are saying defining that redirect function. So this is a transition to contacts.index. So it will be auto redirected to /contacts. So that's the thing only for that one. And for the collection of that contact model, so it's just contact index, and here finding store find contact. So and we need to update the router to give that path. And this is the handlebars template for the layout. So in the Rails itself, there is application HTML ERB. So here we have application.hbs. So this will be the default one. And similar to that yield part in that file, we have here outlet handlebars expression over here. So everything gets output in this outlet. And this is template for the contact index. So here we are iterating to that contact in each contact in controller. And here the CSS part, and here the show part. So this is all for the demo. So yeah, this is the image I found. Just put it over here. Evolution of web apps. So it started from HTML, jQuery, Dojo. That's not Ansible, Angular. And we are now writing Ember. So that's it. Any questions?
Can we use all the upcoming
How do you spoke that all the upcoming?
like if you are using that model system,
Yeah.
can we use that?
Yeah. If that ES6 has that functionality, then we can use it.
Basically, like using the class.
Yeah, if it's in there, we can use it over here. That ES6 module transpiler would compile that in its specific format.
If you work in
IE, no idea.
like, and what is what is the performance of the code generated by the CLI?
By CLI?
I mean, like you are using the ES6 feature in ES5, right? You have to compile that ES6 code in ES5 code.
Mhm.
And during that compilation, may documents it while running in the browser.
Frankly to tell you, I have not like much knowledge in that ES6 part. So it's a transpiler thing that does its job. So if you see the dependency over here in so packagation over here, uh, sorry, what page? Oh, in the new version, they have put that package itself in the Ember part. So I can show you here. This is the library used under the hood of that Ember-Cli that does that transpiling part.
Basically, like जस्तै टाइपस्क्रिप्टबाट के अरे जाभास्क्रिप्टमा कम्पाइल गरेपछि मच मोर क्लिनर देन यो ट्रान्सलेटरबाट कम्पाइल गरेको
Maybe, I don't know.
How can you compare Rails with Ember?
You cannot. You can, but you should not. Because the controller in Rails is not the exact controller over here. So while you are learning and while you are coming from the Rails, so it's good. It's better to like compare it, but they won't be exact the same always. And in the same note, like I like to tell, so how about putting the Ember application in the Rails itself? So it is possible, and it's been there. And there's one project we are working in that same space. But there are problems like with the asset compilation of that one. Some modules, some machines name starts from A, and if it's used by something like 0 or 1, if you say like it starts from Z, and another file it requires is Z, and in that required thing, if that Z is lower there, so it won't get picked up in that one. So that's one problem. Another is like in asset compilation part also, while deploying it takes way too long. So another one is like you are developing front-end application for the like a client-side application, and why are you using Ruby? Right? The main part is one. So if we go through this paradigm, like we have seen like it's another part. Like so you'd be installing Node.js, right? So how much you had, I don't know, but it's the thing. And it's the right tool built for this job. So integrating into the Rails and Ember app itself, I don't recommend.
Why do this or some other JavaScript framework, and how does it compare with Angular?
And with comparison, Angular, I don't have much knowledge in Angular, but what I can say is like Angular, it's not a framework, it's a library. It's kind of like backbone, something. And the main notion that's missing in the Angular, from what I have known, like reading, is like there is not the concept of store, that data part, model part. It's missing over there. And another thing is like if something changes, uh, it recalculates the DOM itself. So if there is a loop and if some changes, it will re-render all that templates. So, but in Ember, due to that binding, we had that binding one. So it just updates that part only, and it does only once. So if if some changes for like 3 times, so uh, what do you say? So changes are made if the multiple changes, so then it will if, affect in the browser. So only one time. So in respect to that Angular, I think it's a framework, and it's where I can say much about only Angular.
Why Angular or some other JavaScript framework?
Uh, you can see in this way, like you might have build a jQuery using jQuery applications, right? So you see a page and you ask them to put a comment, for example, and while putting comment, you might want to submit it via Ajax, right? So then you submit it and it goes to the server and saves it and gets a JSON back. And the jQuery you'll be writing is like append this new template or this comment block of HTML in the DOM itself. So that's fine. And you get the requirement like while appending that one in that same part, it might have rating also, right? How much rated it was. So what you'd be doing is like you are just writing that spaghetti code. Eventually it will become that long mess of code like DOM also inserted, model also inserted in the same time. So if we go through this way, there is the whole isolation of each the segment. So model defines its structure in isolated space, and you have that handlebars templating thing. It doesn't have any much more logic in that template part, so it's separate, and the controller that governs the state of the application it's separate. So when you look for something, you'll understand faster, and you can make it work quicker. So that's the thing. Logic. But so something in server means like, or you mean just like every time that server gets sent some HTML? Mhm. In client side. To logic is the word. I use apps only, no one used to work. Android Play Store, no one used to work. I don't know.
Can you show that API request like for that on other servers
In network?
in browser? JSON.
JSON. This one?
So this is like what the server has returned back to the client side.
Mhm. So yeah, if you hit the server, what you'll be getting from the network or the server response is just a bunch of JSON only. So you'll be presenting it in different style or through the control and templates in the browser. What is it? It's simpler.
So when does Ember contact communicate with the server?
When does?
Communicate with the server?
If you just make changes in the store in the Ember data itself, so that data needs to be persisted or updated in the backend. So at the time only it will hit that server. So another part is also like if you say that requesting the URL or the requesting from the server, it doesn't happen often. It has that notion of caching that record in the store. So the caching is also there, so it handles that caching part as well.
So the server communication is that in the backend or
API only.
background?
The server communication is API only. So if we see the app running over here, when we hit this URL, it will give you the templates and those JS only once. It's loaded in the browser, so from then onwards, it won't hit the server for the static assets, for those HTMLs and JS. So it's only loaded once, and from that on, on the interaction of the user, it will just send the request to the API only. It will not download that everything again and again.
So it did arrange the tools actually. How did it get the advantage over other like celebrating server?
If you see the same application in the server side, what you see is like you hit the contacts, you get those HTML again and those CSS again. So if you just click another one, it will also get to the same server and it will send some HTML back again, the CSS again. So which we don't want again and again. So it just gets the HTMLs only once.
So how fancy can we do?
Sorry?
How fancy can we do like multi-language animation and all?
Oh, fancy.
Animation and
Sorry? Animations, you mean?
Or any other plan.
Oh, third-party libraries. Yeah, you can use it. You can use it. There are a bunch of things like there is one liquid fire or something. It's popped up just right now. It has support for those animations. There are other things for charting, D3 libraries you can integrate in the Ember component, and there are many I think built in also. If you see over here in npm, the Ember add-on thing is like it's just coming up right now. So if you search with keyword Ember add-on, so here are some of the Ember add-ons they have published over here. So there are not much many, like, but it's popping over here. So for example, let's say you want to include that bootstrap without the Sass part, only the CSS one, then only this is required. You just say like npm install this one, and you are done. So for the animation, I think they have put over here or not. So this is for the authentication part. So how about authenticating the user and making those contacts while creating for user specific? You can implement it with a simple auth there. So here is one Ember notify. So you might be saying something like flashes in Rails, notice flash and Rails. So you can implement the same thing over here on the client side only. So you can use that one. And these are the libraries over there which we can use.
Stay with time.
Yeah.
So I think let's got like one final question. Alright. So while using Ember framework, obviously like ES model, I think like by default it would use like the store, right? JavaScript store.
No. It's a different. That store is the injected dependency via Ember data.
Okay, so like I'm not getting like how can you actually serialize the data to be persistent and like some kind of traditional database like MySQL or anything.
Yeah, you don't like look at API for backend specific software, something like MySQL or Postgres. You just open an API. That API would be might be a Rails server.
Or like do you remove your API?
You need to spawn some application server. Or you need to expose some
So
API from the
that
app.
looks like I'll have to I need to run at least one more service that will be able to communicate with the front end app and the database as well, right?
Yeah.
What about the deployment of the first one?
Oh.
Okay, this talk is very popular. I think Sachin will be available after the talk.
Yeah. One last thing, like Krishna's question.
So I think we should wrap up now. We had still had one session about Rex internals, so
Okay.
because of time constraint, so we have to skip that one. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the first meetup that we are trying to. So I think it would be 100% success one day when there is going to happen another one, when there is another interesting parties from one of us who like to host and do the same event in about a month. So so we have a breakfast. Well, lunch ready there, so we can go there and we can talk with each other, know each other. So
Okay.
thank you guys for coming, and thanks to all our speakers.